Your instructor is Chef Bill Briwa. Chef Briwa is a chef instructor at the Culinary Institute of America at Greystone, where he has developed curricula and has taught cooking, flavor dynamics, gastronomy, and food and wine pairing for the past 15 years. A certified executive chef and certified hospitality educator, Chef Briwa has worked extensively in the hospitality industry and has owned and operated his own bistro. He has been a speaker at many professional conferences, and his writing on food and wine, olive oil, and cooking has been featured in Fine Cooking, Mise en Place, and Sunset magazines. The Culinary Institute of America is the world's premier culinary college, setting the standard for excellence in professional culinary education for more than 6 decades.
Welcome to the Culinary Institute of America. My name is Bill Briwa. I'm a chef instructor here at the Greystone campus in California's Napa Valley. I've put together a comprehensive program to help you cook better food. Over the course of 24 lessons, I'm going to cook all manner of food, I'm going to evaluate it, and I'm going to try and offer insights to help you make sense of it all. Along the way, you'll learn foundational cooking techniques that will open up a broader world of food and cooking for your enjoyment. By the time the course is over, my goal is that you will be a better cook. More confident, more aware, and more likely to draw satisfaction from the craft of preparing food. So let's get started. All right, it's supper time, so let's get some food on the plate. Now, take a look at what I've got here. I've got a couple of veal cutlets, and they've both been cooked, but I wouldn't say they've both been cooked the same way. This one is pale. It's a little bit raw on the inside, and I would be worried about it. Here, there's some nice color. I'm going to serve this with potatoes. So let's put some potatoes on the plate. Uh-oh. These are like glue. Let me see what they taste like. Oh my God, there's lumps in here. Ooh! Way, way, way too much salt. Well, let's move ahead. I just don't want to come off the spoon. Oh, man. All right. These look a little bit better. That's very nice. Now oh no, look at this broccoli. Green. Green is being kind, I would say. Well, let's move ahead. It's mush. It's just mush. This looks a little better. Let's see. Maybe tongs are a better way to go. Okay. I'm going to set this right there, and I'll set this over here. I think a little lemon would make a nice garnish, so we'll take care of that quickly. Salads. Almost forgot about salads. This one looks a little worse for the wear. It looks like it's been dressed for a long time, and if I tip it up, take a look at how much excess dressing there is on this. Compared to this one, which looks very, very nice. Lightly dressed, properly seasoned. 2 very different meals. The ingredients are the same, but what is the difference? I would say the difference is understanding the importance of culinary technique. I would say the difference has to do with understanding ingredients and what you can and can't expect of them. And then finally, I would say it's important to understand the subtleties of taste and flavor. That's the big difference between this abomination and this meal that looks very, very tasty. Over the last 35 years that I've been cooking, the face of food has changed almost constantly. There's been Cajun, there's been French, there's been Nouvelle, there's been indulgent, healthy, ethnic, rustic. The list goes on and on. Against this backdrop, I asked myself, how do you get traction? How do you change direction fast enough? How do you decide what to focus on? I decided that maybe the best approach is to look for the calm center of the storm, the stable foundation on which all cooking is based regardless of the trends. That's really at the heart of what this program is about. So this program is based on three broad themes. The first is understanding that ingredients have to be of good quality, and that beyond that, you need to understand what you can and can't expect those ingredients to do. The second broad theme is cooking technique. There's just a few foundational techniques, and you need to put some effort into understanding those. And then finally, it's important that you understand the interaction of taste and flavor really, really well. Let's start with that third point first. I've gathered up a selection of ingredients. Let me show you what they are. I've got some melon, I've got some radicchio, there's a little piece of lime, and then here is sugar, salt, and a couple of jelly beans. This is what we're going to need for this next exercise. I've gathered it up, and the French would call this my mise en place. Everything I need so that I'm prepared. You might understand mise en place a little bit differently. If you were ever a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, be prepared is the watchword. You can also think of it as just having your mess in place. I've gathered this up for myself, and I'm going to suggest that you do the same so that you can follow along. All right, think about taste for just a second. We have in our bodies, all of us, an opening, our mouth, and every bit of the food that we eat passes through that opening. It's artificially moist with saliva. Now, consider saliva for just a second. Not to be too graphic, but saliva makes your mouth moist. You can't taste unless the things that you're eating begin to dissolve. The moisture of saliva facilitates swallowing, so that's important. There's antimicrobial properties to saliva that protect us, and also there's enzymes in your saliva that begin to break down food, so that's important. So all the food we eat passes into our mouth, and what's curious is that our mouth has taste buds on our tongue and on our palate, and those taste buds have the ability to perceive the basic tastes, and here's what they are: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and savory. 5 things. Now, scientists often try and add things to that list, things like putrid or metallic, but they always seem to return to the same 5 that I just gave you: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and savory, and those seem to be the ones that everybody agrees upon. What you see on this tray represents those basic tastes. So salt and sugar are sweet and salty. There's acidity, there's bitterness in this radicchio, and there's sweetness even in this melon. The basic tastes we perceive on our tongue in an opening in our body through which all of our food passes. Now, if you stop for a second and consider that, it's a little bit too queer to be a coincidence. And it's not a coincidence at all. Those basic tastes are meaningful. Those basic tastes are markers for things that have assured our survival since mankind began walking the face of the earth. So think of it this way. Sweetness is a marker for ripeness in fruits and vegetables. When we taste sweet, which we're predisposed to like, we respond positively. When sweetness is available to us, like a bush of ripe raspberries, we're encouraged to top off our tank with carbohydrates that will fuel our existence. Salt is a marker for sodium, which we need to regulate our bodily functions, but more than that, it's a marker for micronutrients and minerals. So, sweet, salt. Sour is a marker for underripeness or even spoilage. So, when we taste sour, a little warning flag goes up, and that's what keeps us from eating too many green apples and getting a bellyache. Sweet, salty, sour, bitter, as in radicchio, is a marker for alkaloids that in a plant-based diet anyways, oftentimes are poisonous. It's almost like it has a built-in warning device to tell us when we're eating foods that may be a little bit risky. And then finally, the savory flavor is maybe the most difficult to describe and understand. Savory, or what the Japanese call umami, is the flavor of protein that has begun to break down a little bit through enzyme activity or through long cooking. You will find this savory flavor in things like soy sauce or cured meats or aged cheese like Parmesan. Suffice it to say that that savory flavor is a flavor that we all seem to respond to, and we like it very much. So those are the basic tastes in a nutshell. Markers for those things that are important to us. But there's other things that we taste, and you ask yourself, how do you understand them? For instance, a ripe melon has a wonderful floral perfume, but that floral perfume is more than just sweet. And a well-made cappuccino has a roasty flavor that is so much more than just a dark, bitter liquid. So we need to make a distinction here. And it's an interesting one. The distinction is between taste and flavor. Taste is these 5 things that you taste on your tongue, and flavor is those 5 things plus your ability to perceive aroma. If you want to put it in the form of an equation, taste plus aroma equals flavor. Now, just to drive this point home, I've got a little exercise that I want to share. We've got some jelly beans right here. And what I want to do is simply eat a jelly bean, but not before we plug our noses. Now, what that's going to do is take away our ability to smell. So, grab a jelly bean. It doesn't matter what flavor it is. In fact, it's better if you don't know. Plug your nose and eat it up. And along the way, try and decide what you notice about the flavor of the jelly bean. It's sweet. It has a characteristic texture. There's a little bit of acidity, but quite frankly, I don't know what flavor it is. Let your nose go, and suddenly it should become apparent what you're tasting. Mine was buttered popcorn. I don't know what yours is. Here's 3 things that I think you should notice. The first is that when you let your nose go, the flavor becomes apparent. The second is that when you let your nose go, the distinction between taste and flavor likewise becomes apparent. And then third, those 2